Hello everyone and welcome to Diaspora Colors. I am Hortensia Mushai. In studio today, I have the pleasure of having two guests, Mr. Jacobs Edo, the author of the book Digital Transformation, Evolving a Digitally Enabled Nigerian Public Service, as well as the Systems Coordinator at the OPEC Fund. Welcome to the studio. And we have Mr. Ude, the Technical Product Manager at Western Union. It is great to have you here, and we are going to go straight into the wonderful launch of your book. Yeah. You recently launched it. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, in terms of inspiration, I think the book came out of a desire and a passion to support the development of Nigeria. Having observed over time the continuous waste of abundant resources in terms of implementing digital within the Nigerian public service space. We have observed over the years, and like I keep telling people even at the launch, that duplication and excessive repetition within the public service has led to a lot of financial waste. And so we decided to put this book together as like an answer to try to say, to tell government and the public service leaders what exactly they've done and what they can do better.
All right. In your own definition, Mr. Ude, how do you describe digital transformation?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this beautiful interview. Digital transformation, it's an abstract terminology. It can be applied in several terms, but in my point of view, it is basically held by three different pillars. One is digital infrastructure for a country. The other one is providing services digitally. The third one is a digital literacy. So when these three things are comprised together, that's when I basically call a country is digitally transformed.
Right.
So especially when it comes to differentiate between developed countries and developing countries, so the digital transformation holds a very key perspective in terms of growth and progress for the nation itself. Yeah, that's pretty much digital transformation in my point of view, yeah.
All right. What about you, Mr. Edo?
Yeah, I mean, in support of what Mr. Ude has said, digital transformation, for me, because the word transformation is like a process, moving from point A to point B. And if you look at most of the African countries today, they are basically termed developing countries. And the reason for this is that the per capita income and GDP and all of these things are quite low. So the book is suggesting that to move African countries like Nigeria and other developing countries from point A to point B, which is development, government and public service leaders have to begin to adopt digital technologies in the sense, like he rightly said, in the area of digital infrastructure, services, literacy, and all of those. So when you put all of that into a bag and you are handing over this to the country as public service leaders, then you are probably transforming the country.
Right. What major roles have you played in your respective organizations to enforce digital transformation?
I'm a technical product manager, and I hold responsible for producing digital products for the public in terms of money transfer business. I personally hold responsible for developing products which actually for the web and mobile scape. So we touch the people's life directly, and we brought actually change in people's life where the immigrants actually send money to different parts, you know. Right. So that's how I actually play a very vital role in the current position what I'm doing right now, yeah.
All right. Okay. What about you, Mr. Edo? What role are you playing in your organization apart from the book in enforcing?
That's a very interesting question. Right. I probably have to sit well because I sit at the leadership position of transforming the organization. Right. So as a enterprise system coordinator, it's my primary responsibility to make sure that we move the organization from paper manual-based processes into a digitally enabled organization. And I'm proud to say that over the course of the past 7 or so years, we have made significant strides in these efforts. And today we can say, of course, we are not 100% there yet where we want to be, so there's room for improvement, but we are doing very, very well. And I'm sure if you talk to my colleagues, because I have a name on the corridor, you know, the gossip corridor. So I'm the computer man, the guy who wants to change everything. So.
Right. All right. And what are the key highlights and proposals in your book in regards to digital transformation in Nigeria, Africa, and even Asia at large?
Yeah, they're quite a lot. I actually took it like a project work. So we started from the basis, like infrastructure, like we started. For example, you cannot digitize if you're still relying on ISDN or old technologies. And when the world is currently moving into things like blockchain technology, web-enabled, this and that, if you look at your mobile phone today, you'll be amazed what the mobile phone has been able to do in terms of coverage. So this is what digital is all about. So for the book, we've proposed a number of things from areas of infrastructure to services to education. And I would suggest anybody listening to this to please grab it, because I will not be able to start naming them now, but I do know that if you want to change a country, and if you know, like we're sitting in Austria, you know how enabled some of the social infrastructure is here in terms of bus routings and all of those. Those are supported by digital transformation. So it's quite a lot. So it's a book that I think somebody who is interested in this area of digital transformation should pick up and probably take a read, because I think it's a good ride.
Right. And Mr. Ode, what would be the benefit of a fully evolved, digitally enabled Nigerian Asian public service?
Well, I can speak for the country where I come from, especially India, where the current ruling party had also included that in one of their election manifesto called as Digital India. Well, it's a cash-based economy, and the people are involved in direct transactions with analog systems and things like that. So I didn't mean right from the providing a digital identity, providing all the services, especially in public sectors, via digital channels. It's a big challenge for any developing country. And given the challenge of population like in India, or even to Nigeria and other Asian countries, so the first part is actually to literate the people about the benefits of the digital transformations, first of all. I mean, how could it basically impact their life? How could it change the services that could be continually providing them a betterment for their life and things like that. So, which we are slowly picking up, and we are getting there. And there was always a need for a kind of consensus I would say a cooperative document or a collaborative document that is necessary in place, which could give us directives or indications where to lead to. And I would say digital transformation for the book written by Mr. Jacobs Edo is actually one of that indicative nature. So it is, maybe the book title says it is public services for Nigeria, but in my point of view, it can be applied to any developing economy like India, or for any Asian countries for that matter.
Your take on that, Mr. Ed?
Yeah, I quite agree with that. Actually, maybe I want to err on the side of patriotism, because I'm a Nigerian, and I want to say I'm a very patriotic Nigerian, and being in Austria, about thousands of kilometers from home, maybe I'm homesick. So maybe that's where the title comes from. But let the title not mislead, because the whole idea of evolving a public service is a unique challenge for most, if not all, developing countries. So I want to sound too optimistic, but I see this everywhere I go. For example, I keep telling people, when you go around and you look at the developing country and you look at the population today, you begin to see that the population is becoming younger, meaning because of the lower life expectancy, so more people die and more children are coming. So if you look at Nigeria, for example, the average population now is about 1920. I think this is same for Ghana, maybe Sierra Leone, and most of the West African countries. And this same population, if you look at the mobile phone penetration, Facebook, Google, and all of that, it's about 74%. So, and then you have, vis-a-vis that, a public service that is completely manual. So what do you have? You have a complete break of communication between the young age, which is the big population, and the government. So what you find is the apathy to government services, apathy to paying taxes, apathy to doing the right things, apathy to go for elections. So what do you find? If you look at Africa today, the population of those going for votes and casting their votes vis-a-vis the population of the country is falling. So you have a situation where a president is elected by maybe 20, 30% of the active population, because these other guys don't want to go stand in a queue that takes 10 hours when in other countries they could vote by mail, they could vote by blockchain on the website, or they could even vote by going to a machine somewhere, and we can't do this in Africa yet. So these are some of the challenges, and these are some of the things that are highlighted in this book.
What would you say drives digital transformation in a company or public sector or service?
Well, it's first of all the intent and the flow of information and where they are heading in the next decade, especially when it comes to a company or a public services, there are accumulation of large number of ledgers and manual entries and data which has been recorded all through the year, and it needs a specific maintenance and storage, and it involves large head of maintenance services involved. Yeah, when it comes to transforming this whole process into a digitally enabled systems, I mean, there are enormous potential which has been opened up. And first of all, we can transform everything into a service-based organization or a service-based structure where you open up really a great potential where people can actually don't have to depend on intermediaries. Because in developing countries, one of the biggest problem with the public services operation is the public is the requester and the government is the service provider, or let's say the person who is able to answer. But let's say many times, or let's say most of the time, there are intermediaries which comes into picture, and they kind of steal this information or cover this information up, and then they try to only provide, okay, you give me this and plus a commission, then I try to get the information out of the system, Well, when digital transformation or when the system is actually transformed into a digitally enabled system or services, then you basically avoid these intermediaries, which is great benefit to public in my point of view.
And a lot of cost savings.
Exactly.
Right.
And then there's the direct access and the time. For example, why should I wait? Because, I mean, if you go to Nigeria, for example, where I come from, if you are looking to get a government service, then you have to go within a particular frame of time. But if it's digitally enabled, that means that service is there 24 hours, meaning I could wake up from sleep and decide to make it. You see? So we expand the reach and the scope, and we broaden everything for everybody. And this is going to help everybody.
Right. How important is strategy and technology in digital transformation?
Wow, this is, for me, I mean, you cannot separate them because, I mean, he mentioned it. If you don't have the intent, and the intent is basically, and this is where the challenge is really coming from in developing countries, where there is no comprehensive strategy for what they do in terms of public services. So we find some ministry or some government agencies, they are doing very well in terms of they are trying to digitize, but they are doing this on their own. They're not connected to any other government. So what you find is complete duplication. This guy is building an identity system. The other guy is building an identity system. The third guy is building an identity system. In Nigeria today, I'll give you an example. It's so funny that in Nigeria that you can go to 10 government agencies and all of them will require you to provide your biometrics. And this is a very big infrastructure to collect biometrics. The immigration services will take your biometrics. The election services, the banks, telecommunication, all of them have infrastructure for setting it up, and none of them is integrated. So I can be Mr. A in this biometric and become Mr. B in the other biometrics. In fact, I've just heard that of recent there was a particular individual in Nigeria who had 3 passports with 3 different names, with 3 different dates of birth. And this was one of the reasons the international world agreed to create the electronic passport. And yet, these people can still get through this because of the non-integrative nature of the technology. And so this is the challenge. So if you want to do digital transformation for a country, then there has to be a document, a strategy, an approach. Because, of course, you cannot transform the country in I don't think any country can be able to achieve digital now in the next 2, 3, 4 years. It's going to be a long process. And digital is also evolving, don't forget, because new technologies are coming on a daily basis. So the government also has need to be flexible. And one of the things, again, that we have with the government is that they tend not to be flexible. They tend to be very stiff. They tend to resist change. They tend to be like, oh, we've been doing it for 20 years, so we have to continue doing it like this. Right. But I mean, the world is changing.
It is, and hopefully that the countries can keep up with it. Mr. Ode, how would you say, because now we are having digital transformation in our developing countries, how would you say that has been received by the public sector and the government? Is there support?
Well, I look at the great success of the smartphones, first of all. To me, that is a great ignition point of actually digital transformation. People had, I mean, name somebody, or if you want to look at people actually who doesn't have a smartphone with them, there would be really less at this moment. Yeah, at least to a certain extent, they are introduced to this telecommunication part, and which is the core part of the digital transformation. So everyone is uniquely identified by the device what they have and things like that. You know, so in my point of view, people are pretty well prepared to receive it, and they are to a certain extent have already accepted it. And it's now, as Jacobs rightly said, it's about the governmental organizations or the controlling authorities to make a plan out of it, right, and a strategy out of it. Like any project or any big process need to have a strategy and plan. And if they kind of come up with a good plan and idea, then definitely it could be a great success in my point of view. Yeah, right. And I don't see any restrictions or some sort of keeping separate out of it. I mean, it's not possible. You have to be in the system.
Right, yeah. Right. Mr. Edo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he said it all. I mean, it's not about acceptance. It's about the flexibility, the ease of use. And, I mean, you cannot run away from your government. You can only bet, you can pretend. But if someday you need to travel, you need to probably, if you don't need to travel, you don't need a passport, for example. And then, right. But if for any reason you decide to want to travel, then you realize that you need to visit a government office, and right. So, and if that process is made easy, is done here, you can go to a website, fill in your data, and then they process it, and then you see. So the people are ready. And I also mentioned the statistics of the population. What is actually happening is the government is becoming archaic to the people that they are serving, because the young people are willing to do this, but they are wondering why the governments are so behind. Most of the banks now, they have online stuff, they have apps. People don't have to go to the banks anymore. I can't remember when last I went to the bank. So if this were done in Africa, you think the young people want to go spend time queuing up in the bank? Nobody wants to do that. So it's not about buying, it's about the readiness of government to move to the next level. And I fear digitization, like we said in the book, has come to stay. Any government that do not move in that direction, right. I think that will necessarily be the next conflict points.
And maybe this is a point that both of you could pitch in about, the maturity and the digital fluency of a leader in a company. How important is that? Do we need leaders who are actually digitally fluent to lead this digital transformation for the maturity to happen? I
would say no, because leadership, for me, many of the schools of thought that I've read about will tell you a leader doesn't necessarily have to be an expert in every topic. Right. And if that was the basis of leadership, then probably the society will not work. But what a leader needs is vision. And vision means what is going to happen to this country in the next 10 years, 20 years. There's something in this book that said every leader should be ready to plant trees that will be shades to the generations yet unborn. These trees that he's planting now, he knows consciously that he's not going to sit under them. That's what's leadership. Leadership, you don't need to be a professor in digital technology or whatever. All you just need to do, all a leader needs is, this is the new trend. How do we key in? What are the steps that we need to do? Can I get expert A, B, and C to come talk about it and how we do this? That's what's leadership. In my organization, for example, my boss does not carry the best qualifications in the area of digital, but he has the vision that this organization has to outlive him. He doesn't want it to die with him. Right. So for the organization to outlive him, he has to also have the vision to say, okay, what can I do that will make the organization be here in 20, 30, 40 years? Mm-hmm. And by the way, you know how much money you save if you go digital? It means you are not buying paper so much. Right. It means you have reduced the number of costs and you have brought your services easy to the people. Mm-hmm. So this is the advantages that come with it: flexibility, ease of access, 24 hours availability, and ease that anybody can actually use it anywhere.
Right. Your passion for digital transformation is very apparent. What are your words of advice to those people getting or playing a big part in digital transformation?
Well, they have to keep an eye open, especially when it comes to the current technology and trends. And as any government that has started doing this process, they have to come across a variety of challenges. And one of the challenges is actually not able to find the right amount of talents in their own country. They do have to source, brains and ideas from different parts of the world, to pool in the resources. Therefore, they could build this. So when the young people or whoever is having a keen observation on this kind of technology, when they are able to contribute to this kind of change, which is happening, which is apparent, which is live, which is now, that would be amazing to me. So my advice is just to have an open eye for this changes happening, and then pitch in, and then in a certain way you have to feel patriotic, contributing to it. I mean, those days you have to go to a war to win to safeguard your country. Right. In these days it is basically a digital war, and everyone have to be ready and make themselves available for this battle. And one of the key point is to get digital literacy. Yeah? That's what would be my advice.
Right. What about you, Mr. Edo?
Yeah, same advice. I mean, it's. I'm also beginning to think that even the children born around now, if you notice, they are actually coming with some digital skills.
Yes.
Because as soon as they come on board, they already can touch an iPhone, an iPad, and they can swipe things. So, so for me, these are digital natives. So, so they are going to cope. So I don't see a challenge.
Right. I am so happy that you're in studio today. It was such a pleasure having both of you here, and we hope to welcome you back again.
Thank you very much.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to get yourself a copy of Digital Transformation. It's an amazing book and it's a must read. You've been watching Diaspora Colors for Radio Africa TV. I am Hortensia Mushai.
Mamringa, sema kopesa, mwana kopina, sema kopesa, mwana kopina, sema kopesa, mwana kopina, sa ta mama kopina kopina, bina, mama kopina kopesa, pesa, mama kopina kopina, bina kopina ko hey.
To us a son is given. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Behold, the King is come, and the world is full of light. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Would you praise the child who can make you whole? Jesus, Merry Christmas. Won't you come receive the child who can make us whole? Celebrate Jesus, Merry Christmas. Christmas nzuri tumefurahi, mtoto Yesu amezaliwa. Sote tufurahi, amani tele.
Christmas is a time of giving, a time of laughter and joy.
Twawatakia sikukuu njema yenye fanaka na baraka. Twawatakia and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish
a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I don't get a lot, God do it. And I don't pay my rent, God do it. There be one for my hand, but God do it. There be one keep my joy, but God do it. I say anything them do, now God do it. No, now God do it. No, now God do it, no. Anything them do, now God do it. No, now God do it. No, now God do it, no. I don't change my name to God you. I no more, I don't buy more to God you. They say my market no go sell, but God you. And then me say I no go blue, but God you. Them my brother, make them try their luck. My God go win, no my God go win, no my Lord go win, no. Anything I do now God do it, no now God do it, no now God do it, no. As you don't pass exam, now God you win. And then be say you no go pass, but God you win. You wake up, see today last song, now God you win. Robbers they rob, they no